Welcome, listeners. I didn't think a door could be hungry. Not until the day my wallet vanished without a trace, and a door appeared in my hallway that only existed in reflections. It had a brass knob, a white tag swinging gently from twine, and it didn't open because I had the key. It opened because something was missing. Do You Need Anything Else Back? By NoSleep Scribe. The key showed up on a Tuesday. That's the first lie my brain told me. Showed up, like it had wandered in by accident, like it was a stray thing the universe misplaced and I happened to find. The truth is, it arrived with intent. I found it at the bottom of a canvas tote bag I didn't remember bringing into my apartment. The bag wasn't mine. The pamphlet inside wasn't mine. The receipt wasn't mine. But the key felt like it belonged in my hand. Old brass, heavy, warm, like it had been held too long. No markings, no keychain, just metal shaped for one purpose, a door. I tried to get rid of it the way you get rid of anything unsettling. Quickly, without ceremony. I shoved it into my junk drawer and slammed it shut hard enough to make forks jump. That night, I dreamed of a hallway I didn't recognize and a door at the end of it. A white tag hung from the knob, swinging gently as if stirred by a breeze that didn't exist. Unclaimed. I woke up with my fist clenched so tight my palm hurt. The key lay there, pressed into my skin like it had been waiting for me to open my hand. I didn't remember taking it out of the drawer. I didn't remember opening the drawer at all. I stared at it for a long time, the way you stare at a bug you find in your bed, less afraid of the bug itself than of what it implies about your life. Then I did what any rational person does when something irrational keeps touching them. I tried to throw it away again. I walked it out to the dumpster behind my building and dropped it into the sour darkness. I listened to it hit something deep in the trash with a dull metallic clink that sounded like an ending. I stood there a full minute, watching the black pit like it might spit it back out. It didn't. I went inside, locked my door, and told myself I'd handled it. As I dropped my house keys on the console by the front door, my hand strayed to my touchstone, Pixie's old stuffed dolphin. I missed having a cat, but wasn't ready for a new one yet. In the morning, the key was on my nightstand, not tossed there, placed, centered, like an offering. I didn't touch it again until my wallet vanished. Not misplaced, not stolen in the messy way theft happens. There were no drawers pulled out, no cabinets left open, no broken locks, no missing electronics. My wallet was just gone, a clean absence, like it had never existed. I tore my apartment apart anyway. I emptied my bag, checked my coat pockets, dug under couch cushions, crawled on my hands and knees to look beneath the bed. Nothing. My hands started shaking, not because I couldn't afford to lose it, but because something about the loss felt wrong, too smooth, too deliberate, like a line had been erased from a page without leaving a smudge. I stood in my hallway breathing too fast, and my eyes landed on the framed print beside my linen closet. The print was glossy enough to reflect the hallway behind me. In the reflection, there was a door where there shouldn't have been one. Dark paint, brass knob, white tag swinging gently. I turned my head to look at the wall directly. Nothing. I looked back at the reflection. The door was still there. My throat tightened. I lifted my phone camera because my brain wanted proof, a picture, a video, something to show another person so I wouldn't have to carry this alone. On my screen, the hallway looked normal, but when I angled it toward the framed print, The reflection showed the door clearly, like my camera could see what my eyes weren't allowed to hold. My fingers drifted toward my pocket out of habit. Metal met my skin. The key, warm as a pulse. I hadn't put it there. I hadn't touched it since waking up, but it was there anyway, heavy against my thigh like a heartbeat. The air in the hallway felt colder. I stared at the wall across from the linen closet and noticed a seam where there shouldn't have been one, a thin line of darkness along the paint, like the wall had been cut and rejoined imperfectly. Then, like reality got tired of pretending, the door was simply there. Solid, real, patient. The tag hanging from the knob read, "Wallet, first loss." My mouth went dry. I slid the key into the lock. It fit perfectly, as if it had been made for this one moment. The turn was smooth and practiced, the kind of motion you could do blindfolded after enough repetition. The door opened like a normal door. That was the most terrifying part. No dramatic creak, no supernatural shriek, just the soft, obedient sound of a latch releasing. Cold air spilled out, smelling faintly of paper and metal and something dry and old, like an attic that had never been properly aired out. I stepped through. The room beyond wasn't huge, but it felt bigger than it should have been. The light inside didn't come from overhead fixtures. It was a dim, ambient glow without a source, like the air itself had been taught to illuminate just enough. Industrial shelves lined the walls, metal racks stacked with plastic bins, cardboard boxes, hanging tags, a warehouse, a lost and found, an evidence room designed by something that didn't believe in comfort. Some labels were normal: wallets, keys, phones. Others weren't. Apologies, unreceived. Photos, unwitnessed. Names you stopped answering to. I found my wallet in a bin labeled like a case file. Wallet, first loss. Everything was inside. My ID, my debit card, cash folded the way I always fold it, even my old library card I never used but couldn't bring myself to throw away. Relief hit me so hard my knees almost buckled. I backed out quickly, clutching it like a rescued animal, and slammed the door behind me. The moment the latch clicked, the hallway was normal again. No seam, no dark paint, no tag. Just my wall, just my apartment. The key in my hand was cold now, dead weight, but the warmth stayed in my chest. Because I'd learned the worst lesson a person can learn. It works. The next day I tried to make the door come back. I threw away a pen. Nothing happened. I hid my grandmother's ring under folded socks. Nothing happened. The door didn't open for games. It didn't open for pretend. It didn't respond to hiding. It opened for absence that hurt. Then my milk vanished. When I went to make my morning protein shake, it was gone. Stupid, small, insulting. But the panic hit anyway, because it wasn't about milk. It was about being rewritten, my morning broken on purpose. The key warmed in my hand like it was pleased. The door appeared in my hallway as if it had been waiting behind the paint the whole time. The tag read, "Milk, second loss." Inside, the milk carton sat cold and real in a bin labeled with my loss like it mattered. But the room had changed. 2 new signs hung above sections of shelving. Unclaimed, forfeited. The bins under forfeited were sealed shut with plastic ties like evidence, and on the wall near the doorway was a placard printed in neat, merciless font. The door only appears when something is missing. Do not bring wholeness into this space. It will correct you. Wholeness meant a purses with their edges intact. The room preferred us sanded down. I left with the milk in my arms, feeling ridiculous and terrified, because now I understood the door didn't just return objects, it categorized loss. It managed it, and it had started managing me. I tried to tell myself I could stop, that I could lock the key away and move on. Then Nora disappeared. Not physically at first. Her contact vanished from my phone. Our texts were blank. Photos were gone. It was as if someone had cut her out of my life with clean scissors and then smoothed the edges so neatly my brain didn't know where to catch. I still remembered her laugh. I still remembered her face. I remembered the way she used to grab my hand when she crossed the street without looking. But every time I tried to reach for the details, her last name, the last time I'd seen her, the exact sound of her voice, my mind slid away like it was avoiding something sharp. Then I found a mug in my cabinet I didn't remember owning. White ceramic, heavy, and on the side, in faded black letters, it said, "Nora's favorite, do not break." My hand started shaking so badly I nearly dropped it. That was the moment I understood. She wasn't forgotten. She was being held. The door appeared before I could even fully accept the thought. Last time you saw her, third loss. I stepped inside and searched the shelves until I found the bin. Nora, status, held. Inside was paper. Not a letter, not a diary. A record summary like she'd been reduced to inventory. Voice messages, 12. Photos, 37. Last goodbye, undelivered. I went to the counter in the center of the room. It was spotless, too clean, like someone wiped it constantly. A bell sat on it, a clipboard, a pen already uncapped, like the room wanted me to sign for what I was taking. I pressed the bell. The sound was small, cheerful, a bright little ding that didn't belong in a room full of stolen grief. The air shifted like pressure changing. The pen nudged closer to me. Words appeared on the clipboard as if written by invisible ink. Retrieval available, collateral required. My hand hovered over the checkbox like it didn't want to obey me. I checked full retrieval anyway with shaking hands, and the room chose my payment for me. Collateral selected, memory, personal, item, first time she said I love you. I tried to tear the paper off the clipboard. It didn't rip. It crumpled in my fists. It didn't wrinkle. I heard a soft click from deeper in the room, like a latch turning. A hallway had appeared between shelves. At the end of it stood Nora. She looked like Nora, but she was too calm, too still, like a person holding their breath underwater. A tag hung from her wrists, tied with twine. Nora Ellis, status, held. I didn't remember Ellis until I read it off her tag. She stepped toward me like a returned package. Her eyes met mine, and for one heartbeat, something flickered there. Terror, recognition, a trapped human banging against the inside of her skull. "No," she whispered, voice thin and wrong. "Don't pay more." Then her expression smoothed into blank compliance again, like a curtain falling. I took her hand and led her out. Her skin was cold, like she'd been stored. Back in my apartment, she sat on my couch and looked at the turned-off TV like it was waiting to give her instructions. She turned her head toward me, her expression calm and attentive, and she asked, softly, "Do you need anything else back?" With a cheerful customer service smile, but empty doll's eyes that didn't narrow, just stayed wide and glassy. I should have screamed. I should have run. Instead, I stood there with my mouth open because my brain was still trying to make sense of the fact that she was here and also not here. And then I felt it. The payment. The memory of the first time she told me she loved me was still there. Visual, audible. But the feeling was gone. Hollowed out clean. Like someone had scooped the center of it away with a spoon and left the shell intact. I could remember the words. I couldn't remember what they did to me. That was when I understood what the door meant by correction. It didn't just return what it took. It returned it manageable. It returned something that could sit on a couch and speak in prompts, but not someone who would spin in circles while spilling laughter. I tried to get rid of the key after that. I sealed it in a jar, wrapped it in duct tape, and threw it into the river under the bridge where the water moved slow and dark. It came back anyway, dry, warm, waiting. The losses accelerated when I resisted. A shirt vanished. Then the name of a street I grew up on slipped out of my mind mid-thought, like a fish wriggling free. Then the memory of why Pixie mattered to me. The door appeared again, patient as ever. Shirt, fourth loss. Nora watched with calm sympathy. "It's just a shirt," she said gently. "You can get it back." I stared at her, skin crawling. She wasn't helping me. She was helping the door. And then she said the thing that finally broke me. "If you don't choose what to pay with, it chooses for you." I stood in front of the dark door, shaking, the key warm in my palm. I understood the trap. The door didn't need to threaten me. It only needed to make life unbearable without it. I opened it. The room felt tighter this time, like it had drawn closer around me. The shelves seemed nearer, the tags swaying gently, as if the space itself was leaning in to watch. The exit wasn't visible. The counter was waiting. The clipboard wasn't blank. It had already filled itself out. Request, shirt, fourth loss, status, returned, collateral, due. Then the line that made my stomach drop. Collateral selected, self, core, item, sense of identity, continuity. I backed away, shaking. "No," I whispered. The room didn't argue. It didn't need to. Something inside my skull began to loosen, like a tether snapping quietly. I tried to say my name. It didn't arrive. Not on my tongue, not in my throat, not in my mind. It simply wasn't there. Panic surged, but even that felt distant, like it was happening to someone else. I tried to remember the shape of my life, childhood, family, Pixie, the things I wanted, the things I feared. The memories were there, but the thread that made them mine was gone. Images without ownership, a life viewed through glass. Nora stepped close, calm as a nurse. "It won't hurt," she said. Then for one heartbeat, her face cracked. Her voice turned human. "It's not a door," she whispered urgently. "It's a mouth." And before I could respond, the calm returned like a curtain falling. My mind produced a neat black label, crisp as a printed tag. Self, now missing. The horror should have hit like a wave. It didn't. The door took the part of me that could fully feel it. Somewhere above, a new bin appeared on a shelf near the ceiling. A tag swung gently. Ink fresh. Self, core, forfeited, status, unclaimed. Nora took my hand and guided me out. I know who she is. I can't remember why she matters. I recognize her like I recognize a brand logo. Back in my apartment, she turned on the TV, volume low, captions on. She sat beside me like a caretaker. Then she asked, softly, kindly, endlessly, "Do you need anything else back?" And the worst part was, I didn't know how to answer no. I'm writing this because I want there to be a record somewhere that still remembers what happened. Because the door doesn't just take objects. It takes proof. It takes continuity. It takes the parts of you that would fight. I don't know how long I'll be able to keep typing before the words stop feeling like mine. I don't know what else it will take next. But I know this. The door appears only when something is missing. It doesn't open for games. It doesn't open for hiding. It opens for real loss. And once it has opened for you, it will keep finding reasons. Field Operations Log, DAAA, Case ID, Keyhole Loss, Single Access Door Event, Clearance, Black Umbra, Status, Active, Containment Unsuccessful, Operative, Moore, Melissa. DAAA arrived after a neighbor report, a door that wasn't there, and a woman repeating a phrase. Primary subject located seated on couch, minimal affect. Secondary subject seated adjacent, identified as Nora Ellis. Secondary subject repeated calmly, "Do you need anything else back?" Primary subject produced key, door manifested in hallway, tag read, self now missing. Both subjects entered, door closed, wall returned to normal. Subjects did not reemerge. No residual portal signature detected. Containment attempts unsuccessful. Key cannot be secured. Door appears to select new holders based on authentic grief. Artificial deprivation does not trigger access. Recommendation: do not engage. Do not bargain. Do not retrieve. Note: key appears to target authentic grief events. Final note: the anomaly does not accept theft. It does not accept games. It accepts only what hurts. And it always asks the same question: do you need anything else back?